Hi, everybody.
Hey, do you think you're able to move the needle a little bit, maybe pick up some points in the polls?
I think so. I think it became apparent tonight that, I'm willing to fight for the people. Governor Herbert is always focusing on data and how business is doing, and I'm more focused on how people are doing. And I think...
Isn't data just hard facts and numbers? Isn't that difficult to refute when you actually have data in front of you?
Well, I know from 30 years in business that data doesn't always reflect the reality on the ground, and especially how it affects people. We may be ranked, this or that, but we still have people who are struggling to make ends meet, and those are the people that I'm fighting for.
The governor says of your liberal democratic politics that's not in line with you. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't, because Democrat or Republican, it's about whether or not you're willing to listen to the people. Our current one-party supermajority proves time and time again that they're not interested in listening to the people, and they're only interested in acting on their own ideology. And so to me, it's not about Democrat or Republican. It's about who is going to best represent the people and fight for the people's interests up on Capitol Hill.
Things got a little more heated tonight, or feisty. You come in here with a strategy to be more assertive?
Well, I don't know if they were heated. I am passionate about these things, and I was anxious to show the people of Utah that I am willing to fight for them.
Mike, about listening to the people and making decisions based on that. Are you talking about the majority of Utahns?
Yes.
And so if the majority of Utahns tell you they're not in favor of, say, for example, full Medicaid expansion, how do you respond to that?
Well, I want to start the discussion and make sure that we understand where the majority of Utahns stand. Part of it is there's some fatigue. We should have expanded Medicaid 3 years ago, and there was over 70% support from all Utahns to expand Medicaid. And then with each passing session, if there's not majority support for it now, it's probably because there's been some fatigue and it hasn't been elevated to the proper status. I'm willing to elevate it to the status that it deserves. We have 120,000 people in this state who are suffering and can't go to a doctor when they're sick. That's unconscionable.
When you were asked about
yes, polls showed that 70% of Utahns favored Medicaid expansion, but not necessarily full Medicaid expansion. So would you be open to somewhere in the middle, like what the governor proposed would help the Utah?
I'm always open to negotiating and coming up with the best solution for Utah and for Utahns. So yes.
Mike, you talk about your passion. You were given an opportunity to talk about your wife's situation and medical marijuana, that help that's provided to her, and you didn't bring that up. Why was that? That was part of the question you were asked.
It was an aside. My wife wasn't part of the question.
But isn't that part of your passion for she's one of those Utahns that you passionately want to advocate for?
Well, I've seen, all you had to do was go up to the legislature last session and see people that are suffering that could be helped by the legalization of medical cannabis. So that's the issue. It's not about my wife.
But that includes her, does it not? And what's her situation right now?
We have no new news, and I really can't talk about it because it is still an investigation.
Okay. And again, you talked a lot about passion there. Do you feel that that's what's going to connect you with Utah voters, being able to make those kind of emotional connections rather than data-driven?
I think so, because so many people are checked out of the political process right now because they feel like they don't have anyone who's listening to them or willing to fight for them. So I'm here to show them that I am willing to fight for them.
And who are you voting for president? Can you name her? You did not mention the name of the Democratic nominee in your answer. Was there a reason for that?
Not necessarily. I think everyone knows the Democratic nominee is Hillary Clinton.
Is it not good for you as a candidate to talk about her by name?
I don't remember doing that intentionally.
Mr. Weinholtz, the governor took issue tonight in the last debate about you asserting that he would sell off the public lands if Utah was able to get control. Talk to me a little bit more about that in terms of, is that rhetoric, or is that something that you mentioned back in 2012, an act that would allow that?
Well, that's the basis for my argument. The governor signed the Transfer of Public Lands Act, which allows for selling off those lands if we're able, if the state is able to take control of them. It's almost a moot point because it's an unwinnable lawsuit.
But he says he's specifically said he will not sell off the lands. Do you not take him at his word? Is it?
You know, then he shouldn't have signed an act that included the provision for the selling off of those lands.
What about more debates? Do you think the voters need to hear more from both of you after tonight?
I would love to have more debates. We've both been invited to, I think it's 6 debates. This is the second one that we have shown up for. I'd be happy to show up for 4 more. But I can't control what the governor wants to do.
Do you think voters need to hear from both of you?
I think it's only fair to the voters of Utah, to the people of Utah, that they see their gubernatorial candidates standing side by side, debating the issues and talking about things that are important to them.
All right, thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Safe travels.
Thank you.
You too, thanks.